300 guests filled Whitmore Tech's annual gala. Champagne glasses clinked beneath crystal chandeliers. Laughter echoed across the ballroom as Boston's elite mingled in designer gowns and tailored suits. In the far corner, twin girls in matching blue dresses sat alone at an empty table. 8 years old. Plates untouched. Lily waved at a group of children passing by, her small hands moving in sign language, eager and hopeful. The children glanced at her, then walked away without a word. Emma tugged her sister's sleeve and signed slowly. "Nobody wants to play with us." Marcus Cole stood near the pillar in his simple black suit. Building security chief. 5 years at this company, tonight was the first time he had been invited as a guest rather than staff. He watched the twin girls, watched the other children ignore them. He set down his glass and walked toward their table. He knelt to their eye level and began signing. Both twins' faces lit up instantly. Lily giggled. Emma's shy smile broke through for the first time all evening. Across the ballroom, Claire Whitmore froze mid-conversation. Her champagne glass trembled in her hand. Her daughters were laughing. A stranger had done what 300 guests could not. Her eyes filled with tears. 2 years earlier, Claire's world had shattered on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. David Whitmore had been driving home from picking up the girls at their school for the deaf. A delivery truck ran a red light at the intersection of Maple and 3rd. The impact killed him instantly. Lily and Emma, strapped safely in their car seats, survived without a scratch. They did not understand why their father would not wake up. They did not understand why he never came home. David had been the bridge between Claire and her daughters. He was the only one in the family who spoke fluent American Sign Language. He had learned it in college, long before he met Claire, because his younger brother had been born deaf. When their twin girls arrived silent into the world, David had already known exactly what to do. He was their voice, their interpreter, their connection to everything. After the funeral, Claire had tried desperately to learn sign language. She downloaded apps. She hired tutors. She watched countless videos late at night after the girls went to bed. But the language felt foreign in her hands, clumsy and slow, and the demands of running a technology company consumed every waking hour. Whitmore Tech was her creation. She had built it from nothing after the girls were born, driven by a fierce determination to create accessibility software for the deaf and hard of hearing. The irony was not lost on her. She had built a company to help people like her daughters communicate with the world, yet she could barely communicate with them herself. Lily and Emma retreated into themselves after their father's death. They had always been quiet children, but now they became shadows. Lily still tried sometimes, reaching out to other kids at birthday parties and family gatherings, her hands moving hopefully, but hearing children did not understand her. They would stare, confused, then drift away to play with each other. Emma stopped trying altogether. She preferred books and puzzles, activities that required no one else. At night, Claire would find her curled up in David's old sweater, the one that still smelled faintly of his cologne. Every evening, Claire would stand in the doorway of her daughter's bedroom and watch them signing to each other. She understood fragments now, words like hungry and tired and love, but their conversations flowed too fast, too fluid, a river she could not enter. She would lie awake at night, haunted by a single question. What kind of mother cannot talk to her own children? Tonight, at the gala, Claire had promised herself she would stay close to the girls. She had seated them at a table near the stage, ordered their favorite foods, arranged for the event coordinator to check on them regularly. But then the investors arrived, the board members, the journalists. Each conversation pulled her further from her daughters, each handshake another step away. She kept glancing at their table, watching them sit there in their matching blue dresses, watching them become invisible among the crowd. She had failed them again, and then a stranger in a simple black suit had walked over and made them smile. Marcus Cole had worked at Whitmore Tech since the building opened 5 years ago. He had started as a night security guard, walking the empty hallways after everyone went home, checking locks and monitoring cameras. His dedication and quiet competence had earned him promotion after promotion until he became head of building security. He knew Claire Whitmore only from a distance. The young CEO who always walked too fast through the lobby, phone pressed to her ear, worry hidden behind a professional smile. He knew she was a widow. Everyone in the building knew. The tragedy had been in all the newspapers. He also knew her daughters. Sometimes Claire would bring them to the office on days when childcare fell through. The twin girls would sit in the lobby with coloring books while their mother rushed from meeting to meeting. Most of the staff had no idea how to interact with them. They would smile awkwardly, maybe wave, then move on with their day. Marcus always stopped. He remembered one afternoon about a year ago. He had been doing his rounds when he spotted Lily standing alone by the elevators, tears streaming down her face. She was signing frantically, but no one around her understood. People hurried past, uncomfortable, unsure what to do. Marcus had walked over and knelt in front of her. His hands moved smoothly. "Are you looking for your mom? I can help you find her." Lily's crying had stopped immediately. Her eyes went wide with surprise. Then she nodded and took his hand. They found Claire in the third-floor conference room, and when she burst out to embrace her daughter, she had stared at Marcus with something like wonder. "You know sign language?" "My wife taught me," Marcus had said simply. Then he walked away, back to his duties. He never explained further. He never mentioned that Rachel had been a teacher at the Boston School for the Deaf for 10 years. He never mentioned that she had died of lung cancer when their daughter Sophie was only 5. He never mentioned that he continued teaching Sophie sign language because it was the only way to keep Rachel's memory alive. Some things were too heavy for casual conversation. Tonight, Marcus had dressed in his only suit, a simple black one he had bought for Rachel's funeral and worn exactly 3 times since. The invitation to the gala had surprised him. Security personnel did not usually make the guest list, but apparently someone in HR had noticed his 5-year anniversary and decided he deserved a night on the other side. He had felt out of place from the moment he arrived. The champagne tasted too expensive. The conversations around him revolved around stock prices and vacation homes. He had been counting the minutes until he could politely leave. Then he had seen the twin girls sitting alone. He had watched them try to connect with other children. He had watched them be ignored again and again, and he had thought of Sophie. Of all the times, she had been the only kid at a party who talked with her hands. Of all the times other children had looked at her like she was strange. He could not walk past. Rachel would never have walked past. So he approached their table and knelt down and began to sign. Across the ballroom, Richard Lane stood beside Claire with a glass of scotch in his hand. He was the chief financial officer of Whitmore Tech, a position he had held for 3 years. He was 45, distinguished, wealthy, and had been in love with Claire Whitmore since the day he met her. He had never told her, of course. First, she was married, then she was grieving. He had been patient, waiting for the right moment. He had imagined himself stepping into David's role, providing stability for Claire and her daughters, becoming the family they needed. Now he watched the security guard kneeling at the twins' table, making them laugh, and felt something cold twist in his chest. Claire had noticed. Claire was crying. Richard set down his drink and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Claire, darling, the investors from Singapore are asking for you. Let me escort you over." Claire did not move. Her eyes remained fixed on her daughters. "Who is that man?" Richard's jaw tightened. "That is Marcus Cole. He runs building security. I have no idea why he is bothering the girls. He is not bothering them." Claire's voice was barely a whisper. "He is talking to them. Really talking." She pulled away from Richard's hand and walked toward the corner table. Marcus saw Claire approaching and immediately stood up. His heart rate quickened. He had overstepped. The CEO's children were not his concern. He was just a security guard who had forgotten his place. "I apologize, Miss Whitmore. I did not mean to intrude. The girls were sitting alone, and I thought." Lily interrupted him, her hands flying excitedly. "Mommy, this man knows how to sign. He asked me what my favorite thing at the party was." Emma, usually so reserved, chimed in as well. "He said I have eyes like stars. Daddy used to say that too." Claire's breath caught in her throat. In 2 years, Emma had never mentioned David to a stranger. Not once. She looked at Marcus, really looked at him for the first time. He was tall, with kind eyes and calloused hands. His suit was clearly not expensive, but it was clean and pressed. He stood before her without pretense, without expectation. "Thank you," she said, and her voice cracked on the words. "I have not seen them smile like this in a very long time." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "They are wonderful girls. You should be proud." Lily tugged at Marcus's sleeve. "Will you sit with us?" "Mommy does not know very many signs yet. It is hard to talk to her sometimes." The words were innocent, spoken without malice, but they cut Claire to the bone. Her face flushed with shame. Marcus saw her reaction and spoke gently to Lily. "Your mother is learning. That takes courage. Not everyone is brave enough to learn something new." Claire blinked back tears. How did he know exactly what she needed to hear? Before she could respond, Richard appeared at her elbow. "Claire, the investors are waiting. This is a very important meeting." He shot Marcus a dismissive look. "I am sure the security guard has other duties to attend to." The implication was clear. "You do not belong here." Marcus met Richard's gaze steadily but said nothing. He turned back to the girls and signed a quick goodbye, then stepped away without another word. Claire watched him go. Something in her chest ached. After the gala ended and the guests departed, Claire found herself lingering in the lobby. The girls sat on a bench nearby, sleepy but content, still chattering in sign language about the man who had talked to them. She told herself she was waiting for the valet. But when Marcus Cole walked through on his final security round, she called out to him. "Mr. Cole, may I speak with you for a moment?" Marcus approached cautiously. "Of course, Miss Whitmore." She hesitated, unsure how to begin. Finally, she asked the question that had been burning in her mind all night. "Where did you learn to sign?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "My wife taught me. She was a teacher at the Boston School for the Deaf. She believed every child deserved to be heard, even if they could not speak. She passed away 4 years ago. Lung cancer. Our daughter was 5. Claire felt the words like a physical blow. "I am so sorry. I did not know. There is no reason you would." They stood in silence, two strangers connected by loss. "My husband died 2 years ago," Claire finally said. "He was the one who knew sign language. He was their bridge to the world." She gestured toward Lily and Emma. "Since he has been gone, I feel like I am failing them every single day." Marcus considered her words carefully. Then he spoke. "After Rachel died, I thought about letting the sign language go. It hurt too much. Every time I moved my hands, I remembered her teaching me. But then I realized something. For my daughter, signing is not just communication, it is connection. It is how she remembers her mother." He paused. "You are not failing your girls, Miss Whitmore. You are still here. You are still trying. That matters more than you know." Claire's eyes glistened. She wanted to say more, to ask him 1,000 questions, but Lily came running over, her small hands moving excitedly. "Mommy, Mr. Marcus has a daughter. She knows sign language too. Can we meet her? Can we be friends? Please?" Marcus smiled gently. "Her name is Sophie. She is 9. He looked at Claire. "She does not have many friends who sign. Most kids do not understand her." The unspoken offer hung in the air. Claire made a decision. She pulled out a business card and handed it to Marcus. "Call me. Maybe we can arrange something. The girls could use a friend who understands them." Marcus took the card. "And you? Could you use someone who understands?" The question startled her. No one had asked her that in 2 years. "I do not know," she admitted, but I think I would like to find out." The following Saturday, Claire drove Lily and Emma to a small park in Brookline. Marcus had suggested it as neutral ground, somewhere the children could play without pressure. She spotted him immediately, standing near the swings with a girl who looked about 9. The girl had wavy brown hair and serious eyes. She wore a simple floral dress and held her father's hand tightly. Sophie was nervous. Marcus had warned Claire about this in advance. His daughter was shy around new people, slow to warm up. She had been disappointed too many times by children who could not understand her. The twins bounded out of the car before Claire could even unbuckle her seatbelt. They raced toward Sophie, then stopped a few feet away, suddenly uncertain. Sophie looked at them. They looked at her. Then, Sophie raised her hands and signed carefully. "My name is Sophie. My mom taught me sign language. She is in heaven now." Emma signed back, her movements slow and deliberate. "My daddy is in heaven too. He taught us to fly kites." Lily added eagerly, "He made me a butterfly kite. It was purple." Sophie's face softened. "My mom made the best chocolate chip cookies. I can teach you the recipe if you want." Something shifted between them. The wariness melted away. Within minutes, the 3 girls were running toward the playground together, their hands moving constantly, conversations flowing in a language only they shared. Claire sat down on a bench beside Marcus. They watched the children in silence for a while. "Sophie is wonderful," Claire finally said. "Look at them. They have known each other for 5 minutes and they are already best friends." Marcus nodded. "Sophie has been lonely since Rachel passed. She does not fit in at school. The other kids think she is strange for using her hands so much. Lily and Emma have the same problem. They try so hard, but other children just walk away. Kids can be cruel without meaning to be. They do not understand what they cannot see." Claire watched her daughters laughing, their faces bright with joy. When was the last time they had looked like this? "Marcus," she said quietly, "would you teach me to sign? Real lessons, I mean. I have tried apps and videos and tutors, but nothing works. I need someone who actually uses the language." Marcus hesitated. "I am not a teacher. You are a father who kept his wife's language alive for his daughter. That makes you exactly the kind of teacher I need." He considered for a long moment. Then he nodded. It was the beginning of something neither of them expected. The weeks that followed became a comfortable routine. Every Sunday, Claire would bring the twins to meet Marcus and Sophie. Sometimes they went to the park. Sometimes they gathered at Marcus's small apartment in Dorchester. Occasionally, they visited Claire's elegant home in Back Bay, where Sophie would gaze in wonder at the high ceilings and grand piano. The children became inseparable. Sophie appointed herself the twins' sign language tutor, teaching them new vocabulary with patient determination. Lily learned quickly, her hands eager and expressive. Emma learned more slowly but remembered everything. They developed their own inside jokes, their own secret signs that only they understood. When Claire asked what they were laughing about, the 3 girls would exchange mischievous looks and sign, "It is a sister thing." Sisters. The word made Claire's heart ache with gratitude. Meanwhile, Marcus taught Claire the basics of ASL. He was a patient instructor, correcting her mistakes gently, praising her progress without condescension. She was a determined student, practicing for hours between lessons, watching her hands in the mirror, trying to make them move with grace instead of awkwardness. One Sunday, after weeks of practice, Claire finally managed to sign a complete sentence to her daughters. "I love you both so very much." Lily and Emma stared at her in shock. Then they burst into tears and threw themselves into her arms. It was the first time their mother had spoken their language. Daddy used to say that every night. Lily signed through her tears. Claire held them tighter and made a silent promise. She would learn to say everything. Marcus watched from across the room, and something warm spread through his chest. He remembered Rachel, how she used to light up when a student finally grasped a concept. She would have loved this moment. His mother, Janet, called him that evening. She had been babysitting Sophie and wanted a full report. "So," she said knowingly, "how was your afternoon with the CEO?" "It is not like that, Mom. Marcus, I have eyes. You talk about this woman more than you have talked about anyone since Rachel, and Sophie adores those little girls. We are just helping each other." "That is all." Janet was silent for a moment. "Rachel would want you to be happy. She would not want you to spend the rest of your life alone." Marcus glanced at a photograph on his bookshelf. Rachel, on their wedding day, laughing as she tried to sign "I do" with trembling hands. "I know," he said quietly. "I am just not sure I am ready." But even as he said it, he wondered if that was still true. Diane Whitmore came to visit on a Sunday afternoon in May. She was David's mother, an elegant woman in her mid-60s who had been devastated by her son's death, but had poured her remaining love into her granddaughters and daughter-in-law. She arrived at Claire's home unannounced and found an unexpected scene in the backyard. Marcus was teaching Lily and Emma how to build a kite, while Sophie supervised with bossy enthusiasm. Claire sat nearby, practicing her signs, laughing when she got them wrong. Diane watched from the window for a long moment. Then she went outside to join them. The children greeted her with hugs. Sophie, shy at first, warmed up quickly when Diane produced candy from her purse. Marcus stood to shake her hand, clearly nervous about meeting David's mother, but Diane just looked at him steadily and said, "You are the one who makes my granddaughters smile." It was not a question. "Yes, ma'am," Marcus said. "I hope that is all right." Diane glanced at Claire, at the color in her cheeks, at the lightness in her eyes that had been absent for 2 years. "More than all right," Diane said. "David would be grateful. He always said the girls needed more people who could understand them." Later, when the children had gone inside for lemonade, Diane sat beside Claire on the patio. "He is a good man," she said simply. "I know," Claire replied. "David would want you to be happy, Claire. He would not want you to be alone forever." Claire's eyes welled up. "I feel guilty sometimes, like I am betraying David's memory by—" She could not finish the sentence. Diane took her hand. "You are not betraying anything. You are honoring what David loved most, his daughters, their happiness. He would be proud of you for finding someone who speaks their language." Claire looked toward the window, where Marcus was helping Sophie reach a glass on a high shelf. "I think I am falling in love with him," she whispered. Diane smiled. "I know, dear. And from what I can see, he is falling right back." Richard Lane had been watching Claire Whitmore for 3 years. He had attended every company event where she might be present. He had engineered opportunities to work late when she was in the office. He had been the perfect supportive colleague, always ready with advice or a listening ear. He had been patient. He had been strategic. And now some security guard was ruining everything. He first noticed the change in Claire about a month after the gala. She seemed lighter somehow, quicker to smile. She checked her phone more often. She left work on time instead of staying until midnight. Then he saw them together. It was a Wednesday afternoon, and Claire had brought the twins to the office because their caretaker was sick. Richard watched from his window as Marcus Cole stopped by the lobby to sign with the girls. Claire came down from her office to join them. She laughed at something Marcus said, touched his arm briefly, looked at him with an expression Richard had never seen directed at himself. His hands curled into fists. That evening, he called Marcus into his office. "Mr. Cole," he said, his tone deceptively pleasant, "I have noticed you have been spending considerable time with Miss Whitmore and her daughters outside of work hours." Marcus's expression remained neutral. "That is correct. Is there a problem?" Richard leaned back in his chair. "This company has policies about relationships between employees of different rank, especially when one of those employees is the CEO. He let that sink in. "People talk, Mr. Cole. The board talks. It would be unfortunate if rumors about improper conduct were to affect Miss Whitmore's leadership position." Marcus understood the threat perfectly. Richard was not concerned about policy. He was jealous. My relationship with Miss Whitmore is personal and has nothing to do with this company, Marcus said evenly. Everything in this building is my concern, Richard replied. I am the CFO. I protect the company's interests and its reputation. Is that what you call this? Protecting the company? Richard's smile turned cold. Call it whatever you want. Just remember your place. You are security staff. She runs a billion-dollar corporation. Ask yourself what people will think. I think people will mind their own business, Marcus said. And I think you should do the same. He walked out before Richard could respond. That night, Marcus told Claire about the conversation. He did not want to upset her, but she deserved to know. Claire's reaction surprised him. Instead of worry or fear, her eyes flashed with anger. Richard has no right to interfere in my personal life. He works for me, not the other way around. I know. But he has a point about appearances. You are the CEO. I am nobody. People will talk. Let them talk. Claire's voice was fierce. I spent 2 years being careful, being proper, being the grieving widow who devoted herself to work. I did everything right, and I was miserable. She took his hand. You make my daughters happy. You make me happy. I am not giving that up because Richard Lane has a bruised ego. Marcus squeezed her hand. I do not want to cause you problems. You are not causing problems. You are solving them. She moved closer. Stay. Please. He stayed, but Richard was not finished. 3 weeks later, an anonymous email arrived in the inboxes of every board member at Whitmore Tech. The subject line read, Concerns about CEO conduct. The email alleged that Claire Whitmore was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate employee. It suggested that her judgment was compromised. It questioned whether she was fit to lead the company her late husband had helped build. The board called an emergency meeting. Claire received the summons while she was having dinner with Marcus and the children. Her face went pale as she read the message. What is wrong? Marcus asked. Richard, she said quietly. He did exactly what he threatened to do. The board meeting was scheduled for the following morning. Claire spent the night preparing, but there was little to prepare. The facts were simple. She was seeing someone. That someone was an employee. There was no policy against it, but optics mattered, especially for a female CEO in a male-dominated industry. Marcus wanted to come with her. She refused. This is my fight, she told him. I have to do this alone. But when she arrived at the conference room the next morning, she found she was not alone after all. Diane Whitmore sat at the table, her expression serene and unreadable. Diane was a board member, one of the original investors. Claire had forgotten. The meeting began. Several board members expressed concern about the allegations. They asked careful questions about Claire's relationship with Marcus, about whether it affected her work, about what message it sent to employees. Claire listened to all of it. Then she stood up. I know there are concerns about my personal life, she began. So let me address them directly. She told them about Lily and Emma. About 2 years of silence and isolation. About her daughters sitting alone at the gala while 300 guests ignored them. Then, a man I barely knew walked across that room and knelt down and spoke to them, she said. Not with words, with his hands. He gave them something I had not been able to give them in 2 years. A friend who understood. She looked around the table, meeting each board member's eyes. Marcus Cole teaches me sign language so I can communicate with my own children. His daughter has become like a sister to my girls. If that makes me unfit to lead this company, then so be it. But I will not apologize for choosing my daughter's happiness over someone's petty jealousy. Her gaze landed on Richard, who had the decency to look away. Diane spoke next. I have watched Claire raise my granddaughters alone for 2 years. I have seen her sacrifice everything for this company and for those girls. David would be proud of the mother she has become. and he would be grateful that she found someone who speaks his daughter's language. She paused, letting her words settle. If anyone here believes Claire's personal life disqualifies her from leadership, I invite you to make a motion for a vote of no confidence right now. Silence filled the room. No one moved. No one spoke. Richard's face had gone red. He gathered his papers and left without a word. The meeting adjourned. Claire had won. She drove straight to Marcus's apartment. He was waiting on the front steps, having spent the morning pacing and worrying. When she got out of the car, he could see she had been crying, but she was smiling. "What happened?" "I told them the truth," she said, "and they listened." He pulled her into his arms. She buried her face against his chest. "I was so scared," she admitted. "I thought I might lose everything." "You did not lose anything. You stood up for what matters." She pulled back to look at him. "You matter. Sophie matters. This family we are building matters. I am not going to let anyone take that away." Marcus cupped her face in his hands. His calloused thumbs brushed away her tears. "I love you," he said. "I did not plan on it, but I do." Claire's smile widened through her tears. "I love you too, and I did not plan on it either." Inside the apartment, 3 little girls were watching from the window. When they saw their parents embrace, they erupted into cheers. 6 months passed. Then, a year. The 2 families merged in all the ways that mattered. Sunday dinners became a sacred tradition, rotating between Claire's elegant home and Marcus's cozy apartment. Holidays were spent together. Birthdays were celebrated as one. Marcus kept his job as head of security at Whitmore Tech. Claire had offered him a promotion, a different position, something that might raise fewer eyebrows. He refused, gently but firmly. "I am proud of what I do," he told her. "I do not need a fancy title to feel worthy of you." Claire loved him even more for that. Sophie, Lily, and Emma became sisters in everything but blood. They developed their own language within a language, signs and gestures that only they understood. They fought sometimes, as sisters do, but always made up before bedtime. One evening, Emma signed something to Claire that made her cry. "I miss Daddy," Emma said, "but I am happy we have Marcus and Sophie now. Is that okay?" Claire pulled her daughter close. "That is more than okay, baby. Your daddy would be so happy that you are happy." Marcus continued teaching Claire sign language. She had progressed from basic vocabulary to full conversations. She still made mistakes, still moved too slowly, but her daughters no longer needed an interpreter to talk to their own mother. Janet Cole, Marcus's mother, became an unofficial grandmother to the twins. She taught them to bake cookies and told them stories about Rachel, the woman they would never meet but whose legacy lived in their sign language. Diane Whitmore remained a steady presence, a bridge between the past and the present. She kept a photo of David on her mantle, right next to a new photo of Claire with Marcus and all 3 girls. Richard Lane resigned from Whitmore Tech 2 months after the board meeting. The official reason was a new opportunity elsewhere. Everyone knew the real reason. He could not stand to watch Claire be happy with someone else. On the twins' 9th birthday, Marcus proposed. It happened in the backyard of Claire's house, surrounded by balloons and streamers, and 3 little girls who could not keep a secret to save their lives. Sophie had helped him pick the ring. Lily had made a banner that said, "Say yes, Mommy," in crooked letters. Emma had practiced filming the moment on Claire's phone. Claire said yes before Marcus even finished the question. The wedding was held the following spring, in a small ceremony at the Boston Public Garden. The guest list was intimate. Family, close friends, a few colleagues who had supported them through everything. All 3 girls served as flower girls, scattering petals and signing commentary to each other the entire walk down the aisle. Marcus wore a new suit. Not black this time, navy blue, because Claire said it brought out his eyes. When it came time for vows, they spoke them aloud and signed them simultaneously. "I promise to love you," Marcus signed, his hand steady. "I promise to love your daughters as my own. I promise to spend the rest of my life helping you find the words, even when words fail. Claire signed back through happy tears. I promise to love you. I promise to love Sophie as my own. I promise that we will face everything together, speaking the same language, always. The reception was held at a restaurant that catered to deaf patrons, with signing servers and visual cues instead of verbal announcements. Janet and Diane sat together, dabbing their eyes and comparing grandparent notes. Sophie gave a toast, signing her words while a family friend voiced them for the hearing guests. 2 years ago, I did not have any sisters, she said. Now I have 2. 2 years ago, my dad was sad a lot. Now he smiles every day. She looked at Claire. Thank you for making my dad happy again, and thank you for being my other mom. There was not a dry eye in the room. Later that evening, as the sun set over Boston Harbor, Claire found Marcus standing alone on the terrace. What are you thinking about? She asked. He smiled. Rachel. How much she would have loved today. Claire took his hand. She is watching, I am sure of it. And David? Claire looked up at the sky, where the first stars were appearing. He is watching too, and I think they are both pretty pleased with how things turned out. Inside, the 3 girls were teaching Diane and Janet how to sign the lyrics to a pop song. The sound of their laughter drifted through the open doors. Marcus pulled Claire close. Ready to go home? She smiled. I already am. 3 years later, on a warm evening in June, the Cole Whitmore family gathered in the backyard to celebrate the twins' 12th birthday. The garden was strung with lights that Marcus had installed himself. Paper lanterns swayed in the gentle breeze. A long table held a cake decorated with 3 names in ASL fingerspelling: Sophie, Lily, and Emma. Friends from school mingled with family members. Many of them had learned basic sign language over the years, part of the ripple effect of having the twins in their lives. Sophie, now 14, had grown into a confident young woman who served as an ASL interpreter at her school. She was considering becoming a teacher, like her mother had been. Lily remained outgoing and fearless, already talking about wanting to study abroad someday. Emma had become an accomplished artist, her drawings filling every wall of the house. Claire stood at the edge of the party, watching her daughters laugh with their friends. Her hands moved easily now, signing conversations without conscious thought. The language that had once felt foreign had become as natural as breathing. Marcus came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. What are you thinking? He asked. That I am the luckiest woman in the world. He kissed her temple. I think I am the lucky one. Sophie stood up to make her traditional birthday speech. She had done this every year since that first party, and it had become a beloved ritual. Okay, everyone, she signed and spoke simultaneously. Another year, another speech. She grinned. When I was 9, I met 2 little girls at a park. They did not speak with their mouths, but they spoke with their hands, just like I did. She looked at Lily and Emma. I did not know it then, but that day changed everything. I got sisters. I got a new mom. She glanced at Claire, who was already crying, and most importantly, my dad started smiling again. She raised her glass of lemonade. To Lily and Emma. Happy birthday to my favorite twins in the entire world. I love you both more than words can say. Good thing we have another way to say it. The party erupted in applause and signing. Later, after the guests had gone and the girls were upstairs giggling through their sleepover, Marcus and Claire sat together on the porch swing. The stars were out in full force, scattered across the sky like diamonds on velvet. Do you ever wonder, Claire asked quietly, what would have happened if you had not walked across that ballroom? Marcus thought about it. I would have kept being lonely. You would have kept struggling. The girls would have kept feeling invisible. And instead, we found each other. He took her hand, intertwining their fingers. Sometimes the best things happen when someone is brave enough to take the first step. Claire leaned her head against his shoulder. Thank you for taking that step. Thank you for not walking away when things got hard. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the distant laughter of their daughters, watching the stars wheel slowly overhead. 5 years ago, Claire had stood in this same backyard and wondered if she would ever feel whole again. Marcus had walked the empty hallways of his apartment and wondered if he would ever stop missing Rachel. They had both been broken. They had both been lonely. But then a stranger had knelt down beside 2 little girls and started moving his hands, and everything had changed. Somewhere up among those stars, Claire liked to imagine David and Rachel were watching. Perhaps they had orchestrated the whole thing, 2 guardian angels playing matchmaker from the great beyond. Or perhaps it was simpler than that. Perhaps it was just 2 people who recognized each other's pain and chose to help carry the load. Either way, Claire was grateful. For Marcus, for Sophie, for the family they had built together. Home is where the hands move, she signed to Marcus, an inside joke from their early days of practice. He smiled and signed back. Then we are exactly where we belong. Inside the house, 5 hearts beat as one. 3 daughters dreamed in a language of motion and light. 2 parents held each other close, finally at peace. The silence was golden. It was full of love. It was home.